case aims to explore the development of infrastructure and labor market in Qatar, and it is researched that construction make a great contribution to the GDP due to the government's initiative in infrastructure. Construction contributes 15.9% to the GDP. The government's large investment in infrastructure to the FIFA WC 2022 have boosted the construction industry. In addition to the projects related to the World Cup, several other large-scale social and commercial construction projects are on the way that will stimulate growth in the residential and non-residential sector. And in turn, in the labor market, the government of Qatar is implementing reforms. The Ministry of Labor of Qatar is interested in preparing labor legislative reform and continue with the partnership with the ILO beyond the 2022 World Cup. Through the continuous cooperation programs, the field of development and the modernization of reforms and the legislation with the various international organizations.
The phenomenon of infrastructure covers like the growing construction projects in different sectors, such as social, transport, manufacturing, extraction, and some others, in which the most important projects nowadays are like the completion of highways and the expansion of networks of water or energy. And within the labor market is a phenomenon that aims to describe like the process, like the statistics, all of about the mobility and the labor care. And in Qatar there is a labor force of 2 million people, and in terms of migrant people representing 95% of the total. And most of the people are employed in construction, while the others are like domestic workers. And these phenomena are very important because they drive like the country's economic growth, and they also improve like the well-being of all the community. For example, it reduces the poverty, the inequality, and it makes a growth in almost all the economic sectors in the country. And also it benefits Qatar to its transition to a knowledge-based economy, because if you improve mobility, if you improve your infrastructure, you are going to create more job opportunities and you are going to improve the satisfaction of workers.
Most of the workers that are present for the 2022 Qatar developments are from Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Egypt, with the biggest demographic being the people from India with about 700,000 people, followed by Bangladesh, I apologize, with 400,000 people, Nepal also with 400,000 people, Egypt with 300,000 people, and other countries such as the Philippines, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Sudan, Syria, and Lebanon. Now, all of these workers have a big issue at hand, and there is a conflict at hand, which is the resolution of their payment, as well as also the resolution of their living conditions, and also all of these deaths that have been happening for these developments. And there needs to be accountability, and there needs to be closure as well. So now the question that we should ask ourselves is how to move forward. So there are two ways that we can go at it. Now, the first one could be through international intervention. It could be done through several lawsuits and through the due process of law in the international courts. It could hopefully bring a resolution in the near future, although it is very unlikely. And then the second one, which is a more harsher action, would be to boycott the event, to cut all TV rights, to cut all these sponsorships and all these sponsors that are present at the event. So this would leave the government in a very precarious position in which they would not be willing to risk such an investment that they have made for this event.
Okay, another factor that we're going to explain is how do cultural practices and beliefs connect with this phenomenon. First, we must start by mentioning that the cultural shock that occurs in this part mainly is because the 95% of the labor force and workforce are immigrants. The point is that regardless of the place of origin, any person who is living in this area is obliged to comply the requirements and the regulations issued by the Qatari government. Therefore, workers must submit to these regulations regardless of their beliefs or cultural practices.
The construction industry plays a very important role in achieving infrastructure development and therefore attracting foreign direct investment to the country, which is consistent with Qatar's vision of becoming a leader center in the region for global events.